All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Drawn to Us, a podcast with a profile picture drawn by us, where we draw ideas from us to draw you in. Moderating this for the second time today without screwing up because our microphone screwed up. Talking about screwing up, we have a guest with us today who's very terrified.
What the hell?
We'll get you to do that. Welcome, Sevi. I'm very glad to have you. How are you feeling?
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here, and I'm feeling pretty well. I'm looking forward to talk to you about my great passion at the moment. It used to be soccer and sports, but at the moment it's films.
Films and movies. Very good.
Films and movies, which is the same, but we will come to that later.
They are. Very good.
But all right. Yeah.
And so to start off these things with a question, how did you personally get into movies and films from sports? Because the one thing is very boring where you sit around and watch it, and the other one is films and movies.
I mean, films can also be boring, to be
completely
realistic. I mean,
you guys ever seen Dinosaur? Jesus Christ.
There are a lot of boring movies out there. But yeah, I know you despise sports, so you despise watching sports.
I do.
So I get your opinion on this. But I don't know. As you may have heard, a lot of sport events were postponed during quarantine or because of the coronavirus. So I didn't get to watch any over the last few months and weeks. And instead of that, I've watched several TV shows and movies, and I really enjoyed it. And I already did that before, but not in this excess like I'm doing it now. So yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
So that's how it got from sports to the world of movies.
All right.
And I also have, maybe I've told you this, I've already told you this, but I have a mother who's really passionate about movies, and not just movies, but also theater and culture in general, culture.
Yeah.
And she's some kind, maybe this sounds a little bit exaggerated, but she's some kind of inspiration for me in this regard. And yeah, I can learn a lot from her.
So you want to be like your mom?
I don't want to be actually like my mom, because she's not a movie expert. She's not a critic. She just enjoys watching them.
Okay.
And I love sharing my ideas and my opinions with her. So,
and with us,
yeah,
gladly.
Exactly.
And so you mentioned that movies can be pretty boring and pretty off-putting, which a lot of them are. And so is that how you got interested in them? Like, oh, those things are boring, nobody likes them, I'm gonna watch that shit.
Not really. I would rather enjoy movies than being bored. So that's not how I got into the whole field of movies. I don't know. There are certain actors who I really enjoy watching, and we will talk about that later on too.
We will.
But I don't know. That's probably the main reason. The actresses and actors. Because I really love watching them, especially my favorite ones, of course.
Of course.
But no, not because I'm bored. I was because a boring movie was some kind of inspiration for me. No, that wasn't the case at all.
Okay. And what do you guys say about this? Not to cut you off too much, because we want to get some input, especially from Imperfect.
What? No, I was just gonna ask. Is it? I don't expect it to be, but is it like, man, she is nice looking, or he's handsome, or is it more like what drives you to the actors? Is it how they can portray that emotion, or like the differences between them when they're doing their acts, or what about the actors?
Are you finished? Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I wonder a lot of the times as well.
That's what she said.
I mean, of course, of course, I do notice. I do notice when an actress or an actor is handsome or good looking, but I would say it's 90% the acting part, because they just inspire me. I mean, I'm not aspiring to be an actor, but the work some actors put into certain films is just astonishing at times, and. I wouldn't say that I identify with them, but they just I'm just proud to be in era where I'm witnessing such great actors, because there are really great actors out there in the world of, not only in the world of Hollywood, but all around the world. And I'm really inspired by them.
Talking about all around the world, where are great movies produced besides Hollywood? Especially since Hollywood seems to be declining these days, at least it's my view of it. What are the main film centers, and how do you think that will develop in the future?
It's not really about the great film centers. It's more about single movies which were released over the last few years. That's also a reason why, as you just said, Hollywood is declining. That's a red assumption. Because this year there was a historic event took place at the Oscars, the most important award ceremony.
"Quote unquote" important.
We have
heavy quotation marks.
That's a different podcast.
Yeah,
And talk about all the lizard people controlling these things.
Parasite. It was Parasite, a South Korean movie, and was the first foreign film to win in the best picture category, which is just amazing, because it's the first film not from the UK or the US to win Best Picture, and it was well deserved as well. I really enjoyed the movie, and yeah.
All right, so I'm very glad to hear you enjoyed this movie.
Also, others did.
I suppose.
Supposedly, I mean, if it did win Best Picture, you can assume.
But I didn't really answer your question. I would say South Korea.
Okay.
Absolutely, not just because of Parasite, but there have been great movies especially in the last few years.
Yeah, I hear people love Korean drama series.
Oh yeah, they're great. Sorry, ever watched Sound of Your
also
Heart?
Korean remakes of American TV shows, especially for example the US and the TV show. Maybe you heard of it, Suits, which is a lawyer show, it's about the law, and it was really popular in the US until it finished last year. And now there has been a Korean remake, so yeah.
That's really good to know. Just a side note, Heck, you watch Korean drama?
Oh yeah, freaking! When I was in Finland, I watched so many Korean dramas.
Are you
And hell
telling me
yeah,
you
they're
don't have
good.
enough drama in your life already?
Summer, listen, you gotta balance out the drama with drama. It's like a double negative, it works fine.
Okay. So in which language do you watch them in? And in which language would you recommend watching them in? So in original language with subtitles, or as a dub?
Me?
I'd like him to go first and give us his views on this.
I think you should always, or at least most of the time, watch something in its original language with subtitles. Because, I don't know, I feel like when it's the original language, the director, the artist behind it, everybody has a lot more control over what actually happened. And then when you kind of outsource it to a different country, then it becomes this like interpretation game where you kind of have to think, okay, this is what the artist wanted. This is the words that I could use, instead of the original ones, etc., etc. And then I feel like you lose some emotion. Not just like, obviously, if you don't understand the language, it won't matter what words they use in the original, right? But I feel like the emotion behind those words, that's something you can pick up. I don't know. Does that make sense?
I absolutely agree with you.
Right.
I mean, I personally, to stick with the Parasite example, I obviously watched it in Austria, so there wasn't any. I watched it at the movie theater, so there wasn't any possibility to watch it in the original language. There was just the possibility to watch it or in German or in English. I really enjoyed it in German as well. But if it were up to me, I would always watch it in the original language. There were many people who disliked Parasite because they watched it in the original language in the first place, and they were bothered by the subtitles. And I just don't get this. I just don't get it.
Nice of you to bring this back to subtitles. Because here's the thing, you said dubs are not great because they are up to the interpretation, right? So they could falsely interpret what the guys are saying or trying to say. Now my question is, isn't that the very same thing with subtitles? And even worse because it's text and you can't hear text.
Sure,
can't,
right?
but at times you just don't. Also in German movies, I don't always understand what the actor or the actress is saying, and then I just need subtitles to get along with it with them, because otherwise I wouldn't know what the scene is about. So I personally, I know I'm one of very few people, but I personally love subtitles.
I think it's pretty split. There's been a great debate going on over subs and dubs in the internet. I'm not going to go into this today or tonight.
Not
maybe
summer. We could start a war.
Get into a debate with subs over dubs. Not tonight. I'll note it down for later. There, happy now?
No.
Moving on. You also mentioned how Korea is very good at doing remakes of American series.
I mean, I just know about this one example I gave you, but okay. I think they already did. They have already done a lot of them.
Okay, so my question is, especially with movies, since that's tonight's main topic, why is there so many remakes? And why is there remakes of remakes nowadays?
Because, well, that's a good question. I personally despise remakes because the original movie is always far better than the remake.
I wouldn't say always.
Most of the time.
Summer, what about an example?
Right. I was exaggerating, but most of the time, especially if it comes to Disney movies or the youth movies that kids really enjoyed, and then a few years later, the remake gets released, and it's just a big disappointment.
Jesus.
I can give you several examples.
Yeah, have you ever seen...
For example, The Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, goodness.
What else? The Jungle Book.
Have you ever seen...
going with remakes which have split the entire... not humanity, but split every great family.
Humanity is divided over these crap remakes.
Well, there's Star Wars, right? And there's people who prefer the original 3 movies and people who prefer the remakes of the 3 movies.
See, I don't think you can you even call those remakes? They're just a continuation of the story instead of a remake.
I'm not talking about the prequels. I'm talking about remakes of the original 3 movies.
No, have there been remakes?
Yes, they have been remakes.
Oh yeah, like those special editions where they...
are the remakes. Yeah. And from my sister, who's also somewhat acquainted with film theory, she, as a person, prefers the old movies. So that means, I believe, that one of the main points, one of the main draws of why the remakes are so bad are because people have nostalgia about these old things. They want to feel like a child again, and you can't get it. And I'm saying we shouldn't blame the movies because we're no longer children.
See, I don't think so, Summer.
Yeah? I think we should blame movies for being for growing up. Please.
No, I think that when people remake movies or the original artist comes back to edit these things, they kind of over detail, you know how in art you can over detail and then like the whole message becomes kind of more muddled and lost. I feel like that's kind of what's happening with Star Wars. They added in like a bunch of like extra little monsters everywhere. They added in what's Han shooting first. That's garbage. What? Wait, no, Greedo shooting first. They added in Greedo shooting first, right? Han shot first. Jesus Christ, why would they change that? And I guess the best example of this, even though it's not a movie, right, is J.K. Rowling.
Okay, moving on.
No, we're not talking about J.K. Rowling.
She's going back and she's changing her entire story on Twitter.
I will keep talking over you until you shut it. Thank you.
Right?
No.
Anyways, ever heard of Karate Kid 2? Not Karate Kid 2. Karate Kid remake.
I've got a question for you. You know the thing when a cat misbehaves and you spray it with water to teach it not to do these things, right? Yeah. I want you to close your eyes for a second, take a deep breath, relax, and then imagine us doing the very same thing to you. Bad heck, no.
Right, fine. You ever seen the Karate Kid remake with Jaden Smith?
Maybe. I've only seen one movie and it was okay.
It's garbage. It's the exact same story but worse because Jaden Smith doesn't really know how to act. Like Jackie Chan's over there, he's crying his eyes out. It's super emotional. He's like, "Oh God, oh, by the way, spoiler, right? Oh, my family was in the car when I was driving, and I got angry, and I crashed the car, and they all died." And then he's crying and it's bawling, and even I teared up. I was like, "Man, his real emotional acting." And you pan over to Jaden Smith, and he's got completely like dead eyes and no expression. It almost felt like they went in there with like an eyedropper and dropped like a tear down his face. Jesus Christ, this is the worst thing I've ever seen in like recent movies. Oh boy.
Okay, so the actor makes a big part of the movie. Do you have something you would love to share about actors with us?
Me?
Yes, I already did, I think, but there's so much more we can talk about. We can talk about in these terms. What would you like to know?
Personally, I would like to know. There has been a historical example. Correct me if I'm wrong. Al Capone has been credited to be the most, not successful, but the most skilled actor so far.
Al Capone, Al Pacino, you mean?
Al Pacino, yes.
Yeah.
I was
Someone
confused.
I agree.
Al Capone is the gangster then.
Yeah.
Oh, the gangster in real life.
He was the gangster in real life,
right? Because Al Pacino is an actor who appears in gangster movies.
Oh yes,
that's why he's so well known.
I also did not do much research about either of those, since I personally don't have a great
It's Al Pacino.
care. Okay, Al Pacino. Do you have anything you would like to share about Al Pacino? Maybe why he's regarded as the most skilled guy?
Because he's just brilliant. And I mean, I don't know if any of you have seen the Godfather trilogy.
I have read it and seen the first movie. What about you guys?
I have not.
Not either.
You have brought dishonor to your family. It's a really good movie. For critics.
It's a very old trilogy. I mean, yeah, the original one, the first one, is a very old movie. The second one was alright as well, and the third was just trash. But yeah. But Al Pacino, however, Al Pacino appears in the first two movies, I think, and in the third he just appears in flashbacks.
So that's why you don't like it. Okay.
I'm not too sure about it, but yeah. And also Robert De Niro, another great actor of not of our generation, but he's still great, and he was great back then. And he appears in the second movie and actually won an Oscar for it. So, but funnily enough, Al Pacino didn't for any of the Godfather movies.
Classic.
He's just won one Oscar, which is, I mean, he won an Oscar. That's amazing, of course. But in my opinion, he should have won way more Oscars. The actor with the most, either with the most nominations and the most wins was Jack Nicholson. Another greatness of the movie industry. For many people, he's actually the best who's out there, or he was the best to have ever appeared on the screen. But he's not doing movies anymore, so well, yeah. But he was considered as the best, alongside Al Pacino, of course.
I got any notable examples?
Very good at portraying extreme emotions. Is it correct?
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's why he's so high.
High on the rankings.
What movies did he star in?
Pardon me?
What movies did he star in?
I can't think of any.
You can't think of The Shining?
The Shining, right? Yeah, I forgot.
That's him.
But I've just seen one movie with him. Otherwise, I've just seen some clips on YouTube, and he was amazing in it. So
good to know.
If you want to speak of great artists nowadays, right? I really like what's his face? I'm drawing a blank here. He was in the Sonic movie. He was in Yes Man. He was in
Jim
Mask.
Carrey.
What was his name? Jim Carrey. Yeah, he's great. I love him.
Yeah.
Have you seen this movie?
I haven't, but I've seen Jim Carrey movies.
Okay. Heck?
Yeah.
Have you seen the Sonic movie?
Oh, no, but I've seen the little clips with Jim Carrey in it, and you know what? Honestly, that's good enough for me.
He's the one who appeared in The Truman Show.
Oh,
we've seen
that's also a very popular movie.
Right.
I think it's Bond.
He's considered as the most, as the funniest actor out there, because there are funny actors as well, of course. They're not all serious. Oh, they can be serious, but not always.
No, they are not always serious.
And I love comedic actors as well.
Talking about actors who are not always serious, there is this guy who played Johnny Blaze. I just can't think. Nicolas Cage,
right,
who is also commonly considered to very highly over-dramatize his characters.
Really? What about
He's not a bad actor actually. He won an Oscar. He won an Oscar, but over the years, I mean, the years after his Oscar win, he just appeared in way too many movies.
Why is that a bad thing?
He appeared in every movie that was mentioned over several years, and I don't know why it's a bad thing, but talking about him, it's pretty bad because
I think
it's just
oversaturation
after his Oscar win, and was never. And I think he has never been nominated again after that.
Okay, so it's very interesting of you to say that he's been doing a worse job by doing more acting. Maybe he's been exerting himself.
He overacted.
Okay.
I don't think that's a word, but it's an actual word. But
it is.
He just overacted either in the movies and in general.
Okay.
He just acted in way too many movies.
Yeah,
and that's not always a good thing.
I can see what you mean, actually, because if you associate yourself with everything, you're also associated with the bad stuff.
Right.
One last actor before I'd like to go into the next segment.
Sorry.
Do you have?
I would like to share my personal favorite actors. We have.
Go ahead.
I mean, of course, there's Al Pacino. I adore him because he's still. He's still appearing on the screen. His latest movie was The Irishman, another mafioso movie, of course, by the great Martin Scorsese, who's the best director of our generation. I mean, he's pretty old, but he's still doing things. Of course, Al Pacino is up there, and also Joaquin Phoenix, who won the Oscar this year for his role in Joker.
Oh, he's also very involved in memes, I believe.
Exactly. Every movie I've seen with him in the lead, and every movie he appeared in, I just adored and I loved. I loved Joker as well. I mean, it was a very not everyone liked it as much as I did, and I get why it was that criticized. I mean, it was nominated for several awards, so it got acclaimed.
Yes, it brought up opinions on both sides very high.
Right, but Phoenix to come back to the actual theme. Phoenix acting was undoubtedly the best we've had all year. And over the last decade is maybe with Leonardo DiCaprio, because he's never delivered a bad performance at all. Is maybe the best over the last decade alongside DiCaprio.
Those are the best authors of our time. Very, very interesting. But since we have been talking about actors and Joker, there is, of course, somewhat that comes to mind. There is always somewhat that comes to mind.
Is there not?
There is. What do you have any thoughts regarding him?
It's such a shame that he passed away that early. I mean, he was still pretty young, and I think he could have done more greater things in his career. But yeah, it is like it is. But his performance in The Dark Knight is just. It's just, you can't compare it with any other performance in Batman or Joker movies. It's just unforgettable, and I will never forget it. It's his Oscar win, even though he has already died at that point, and was so well deserved. And it's such a shame.
But was it the precedent for somebody who was no longer alive winning an Oscar? By the way, would you know that?
I think he was just the second one. I think there was one back then, but I can't. I couldn't tell you who it was and in what year it was, but I think it was the second one. So there has been many.
More than good enough. And I can certainly see the reasoning behind not awarding Oscars to most dead people.
But his performance in The Dark Knight is just astonishing. And Phoenix's performance was great as well, but not up there.
Okay, so he would have been the greatest actor of our time had he been around.
Absolutely. I'm very certain of that. But we're just talking about male actors. Is this on purpose? Or
no? I just have no idea.
Yeah, screw girls now. I mean, off the top of my head.
Great actresses as well.
Tell me about them.
There's Meryl Streep, maybe the best of all time.
Meryl Streep? More like Meryl Strip.
No, Meryl Streep.
Summer. What the hell?
They make fun of everything if it's a pun.
She's
what the hell? It's not even relevant.
She's 80 or something years old, and she's still delivering unbelievable performances. And she has been nominated for an Oscar. I mean, I think record-breaking 12 times. And it's just, I mean, that speaks for itself, I think. And she's probably you can't really compare male and female actors because they're so different, and their performances are different and their roles. I mean, usually you can't compare any actor performance of an actor because they're so different, or they're also different. But Meryl Streep, considering her performances over the year, she's most certainly the greatest actress there's ever been.
All right. So
I don't know. I liked Kristen Stewart. Come on.
Oh my god!
Well,
Please shut up.
I think she was a little better than Meryl Streep.
See, unfortunately, if you ask me about famous actresses, the first one that comes to mind is that I don't even remember her name. That already speaks volumes in itself. But what's that woman? Well, listen, what's that girl? That woman who was married to Johnny Depp, and then she viciously beats him or something. Then and then what's it? She tried to hire a PI to find dirt on Johnny, and all they found was that everybody loves him and he's a great guy.
Exactly. But she eventually hit him.
Yeah, oh my god, what was her name?
And she's about to be imprisoned.
Ah, perfect, There you go, right? Famous female actresses.
Actors being imprisoned though, because like drama and stuff. Although I know you thrive in it.
And I don't mean to discredit female actors. Because
yes, you only want to discredit male actors. I getcha.
Yeah.
But I'm a feminist, so I have to hate on males. Well, that's not a can of worms.
No, I would love for you to talk about the second to third best actresses, or maybe your personal top inspirations, if there's more.
The second to third.
Yeah. So we have talked about, in your opinion, the best one. For 12 nominations to speak for.
So we're speaking about female actresses.
About female actresses, yes.
Actresses I can think of. There's just the ones of the modern era, because I can't think of any actresses that that were successful in the 1960s or something like that.
Okay, good enough.
Right now I can just think about the modern era.
Oh, what was that one girl with Breakfast at Tiffany's?
Audrey Hepburn. Yeah,
Audrey Hepburn. No, man,
probably
I
the most
recognize all these names.
Actress has ever been. But not because of her acting. Her acting wasn't always that great over the years, but because of her, she just had this image and this appearance that was so high ranked.
Okay, that is
in society, and also her beauty, of course, was always a factor. But speaking of the other great actresses, I don't know. That's a hard one. There's way too many. I couldn't give you one. Maybe Scarlett Johansson, because she starred in one of my favorite movies, in Her, with Joaquin Phoenix in the lead. She didn't actually appear physically in the movie. She just, because it's a very squirrel movie. It's very weird, actually. The plot. It's about Phoenix, who's in the lead, and his job is writing love letters to people, because their partners aren't able to address it in an emotional way, in an adequately emotional way. But he is, so that's his job. Yeah, that's a thing. Actually, I didn't know that too. And then he falls in, but he isn't very good in keeping relationships, and he's about to get a divorce because he's a really messed up guy, to be honest.
Yes.
Then he falls in love with how do you call it? With a computer, actually. With a female voice that comes out of a computer.
With an AI generated voice, or
exactly.
with an AI itself?
With an AI itself, I think it was.
Oh, very.
And the voice is Anne Johansson's voice.
Okay.
So the actress's voice.
Of course,
so she does physically her performance. Yeah.
So
she's great.
She's so good that even though she doesn't star in the movie, she's still the main love interest.
Exactly.
I think that speaks rings.
Right.
Talking about speaking, there's one last actress I would love to bring up before we move on to the next segment, and that is Marilyn Monroe.
Right.
Do you have any thoughts regarding her?
Thoughts? I know that there's a movie.
Thoughts.
Exactly. I know that there's a movie coming. I don't know if it will be released this year because of the
Certain incidents.
actual the circumstances we have right now. But there is